recapping 9/20/21 to 9/24/21. So as we look Monday through Friday in September, as we get closer to that 9/28 deadline, TGRO, they had pretty good volume on Monday. They moved 716 million in volume, going back and forth. On 9/21, you saw the volume at 204 million. And then on Wednesday, you saw they were still close to that 200 million mark on volume for TGRO. As well as on 9/22, you saw RCHA close to 200 million. This was also on 9/22. You had EEGI at 313, GARB at 233, NOHO at 212, AMLH close to 200 million. AMLH is one where they're on the move. I did a video on them. You can see them increasing, and their price, I would put a target on them between 003 and 004. TGRO has a shell risk up on 9/23/21. TGRO, they're under 100. So they've been slowing their pace on their volume trade, and they're getting close to that squeeze point where you might start to see them start to move up. If they become current all the way, you can definitely see where their financials are being audited, and if they're pink and clear by the 28th, you could see this possibly go up to 0015 to 0030, somewhere in that range. MaxD, this is on 9/23. They had 113 million in volume. They started to pop back up. Blue had a nice move at 73 million. Plug, Fuel Cell, Vaxart, Space, TNXP, Tonix Pharmaceuticals, KOS, 22nd Century, New Gold, BSSP, Blue, CLIS, Clickstream. I think I did a video on them. DS, the drone services for DSUS started to pop back up over the last week, and they've risen back up. MFST is still waiting on a pop back to green. SDPI is moving to green. So as we enter into the later September, Plug had dropped earlier in the month. They had been down towards the $24.50 to $25. They're back up above that, and they're back on the running phase upward towards that 30 mark. Now they've crossed that 27.50. They might be getting through some resistant thresholds. Fuel Cell getting out of that $6 range, being up over $7. Vaxart's been hovering between that $8-9 mark. With Virgin Galactic, they've been right at that $25-26 mark, back and forth. With Tonix Pharmaceuticals, they were up around, I would say that they're heading towards that 70 mark again. So we'll see if going into this next week, if they'll go up towards that $70 mark or 70 cents mark. So as we get moving on these and we get into the backside of the year, some of these stocks are now starting to move a little bit. So it'll be an interesting Friday morning for 9/24 to see what these companies do to finish the week out and what their holding positions are for the final Friday. Smile Direct Club, they came out of that $5 range. Now they're up at that 6, and they're starting to hold. I think that if they continue their trajectory, you can see them break that $7 resistance threshold, and they could start to move back up towards that 9. I still think that this is a good stock where if you get in on them around where they are now, they can show healthy gains in the future and be back up above that $10 mark. With Smile Direct Club, looking at 2022, if they can get back to where they were at their high peak, they could get up above 15 and maybe run to 20. So right now, I think that if you're getting in between this 6 and this 10 mark, you're going to get in their low side, and then they'll rise back up. TNXP is another one. They've went through their bottom lows. They're kind of coming back out through the resistance, and as they move up, I could definitely see them getting back to 75 cents with no problem. It may take a little bit of time into 2022, but by 2023, you would definitely see where TNXP by 2023 can easily probably be back to $2, and they can get themselves back underway. TNXP, if you look back at a 5-year graph, they were up there, so maybe they might have to go through a reverse stock split. Maybe they might have a merger. Anything can happen with these companies. Investing in the stock market is a risk. Investing in companies is a risk. You're putting a lot of faith in the CEOs and the heads of the company. You have to look at the economy, what sector they're in, what sectors are impacted by stimulus, the infrastructure package, the value of the dollar, if they're just bound by states in the U.S., if they're Canadian, if they're over in Spain, if they're worldwide. You have to kind of look and see where the companies you're invested in are located, how much of a broad spectrum of that market and sector they're hitting. When you look at TNXP, they definitely have that graph where if you give them 5 years, you could probably see something healthy come out of this company, but you have to be patient on a long hold, and you could probably see some healthy gains come out. And that's looking at their drop-offs. When comparing like TNXP, which is a low buy-in right now, compared to things like Moderna. But you can see where Moderna went from $18 in 2018 and in 3 years. So you give TNXP a couple years to get back to that $20 mark, then they take off for a 5-year long hold. They might have some potential on them. Companies like Moderna getting up over the 450 mark in 3 years, that's a pretty good feat. Pacific Bioscience of California, PACB, they're one I keep a close eye on. I think that they found a new bottom probably around like the $27 mark. If they continue to hold on their trajectory, you might see them rocket back up in the future. They could easily go up and be a $40, $50 stock. For a while they're up there. So I think they're through this lower threshold of the 9/18/27. They're heading towards that 36. To be consistent, I would say that right now between 27 and 36 is a decent buy-in to hold on a trajectory of a few years, going out on a long play with them. Pfe Pfizer, they're another one. Going back to 1984, you can look at their graph. They've went through this bull pattern. They've risen up, and I would think that they're past around their $30 mark low and working at a new level of tearing up in their program as you get inflation hitting towards the end of this year and inflation into 2023. You would definitely see them stay above this $35. So buy in low, leverage your position out, and continue to climb with this company. OLMA is another one that they've dropped off, but if they rise back up, they could be double where they are right now. They could definitely see some healthy gains going into the future. They've went to their lows, and now they're on a climb back up with their low marks. And the higher they get their peaks, then it raises that value low up each time. You can definitely see some healthy gains probably come out of this company in the future. When you look at MFST, they're going through a lot of resistance. We're going to have to see what happens by September 28th, how this company fares, turn in financials, how they stay in the OTC. So if they can continue and have a good day on this Friday, the 24th of September, and they turn it around going into this next week, you might see them rise back up. So this is a company to keep an eye on if you're invested in it. With MFST, I would say that they get all their reporting and they're in and they're clear by September 28th. You could see them going up to a 0.002. And I would say that they could at least rise to that 0.001. MFST, if you held them though, this shows February 23rd, 2021, they're at 007. I would shoot for that to be that high to get them back to going into 2022 if they become current. With MFST, if they become current and they go on a trajectory to reverse where they've gone through and where they've been to get to where they want to go in the future, and you're looking at 5 years, and they can go through a bull pattern, then you could see this become a $6-8 stock in the future, but it may take a few years. EBS is one that caught my eye. They're down. They're above $50, but they're right at that mark where they can definitely double to triple if they get back to where they have showed potential where they can be at. Their prior low, when you look in the middle, they've went through a nice little 2 top peaks with a valley, putting them close to that $80 mark. So if they continue on their range, I would say between 50 and 80 is a good buy-in right now, where they'll level up going into 2022, 2023. I can see them getting back to that $136 mark. HYSR is one that I looked at. That could be a 4 times to 5 times play going into 2022. They're at a 0.052, but you can definitely see them going back up and running into like 10 cents, 20 cents in the future. So as we head into 2022, I wouldn't be surprised if this got to 10 cents and then went to 20 cents. Make sure you're doing your research on these companies. Make sure you're doing a thorough research, doing as much as you can on your due diligence. Do your education on splits, mergers, anything coming out, any new reporting on investments, co-development. Just make sure you check on your stocks daily, check on news feeds, and use multiple places across the web to try to pull your information out of. Write the company, email the company, get on any newsletters about companies that you're with. That way you have the most information coming in about your portfolio and your investments, and stay on top of your risk and watch your risk tolerance. Everybody's risk tolerance is different. Investing in stocks compared to short-term plays or long-term plays, if you're an options trader, there's so many different sectors out there. So watch what categories you're going into, what fits you in your portfolio. Remember, I'm not a stock advisor, I'm not a financial analyst, I'm not I'm just a blue collar worker paying it forward with information, trying to put some information out there about stocks where maybe stocks getting overlooked, putting some names out there for people to look up, research, check into. Just put some leads out there for people to say, hey, there's maybe I didn't know about this company, so and you can go down a rabbit hole for an hour, 2 hours, and really investigate a company and look up their financial paperwork, go look at their 10Qs, go back and look at all their quarter financial reportings and really see and dissect, see if they have assets, see how much debt is against the company, see how much cash reserves a company has, and try to figure out the sustainability for yourself of how long that company can stay in business. Codx is another company I keep an eye on. I personally think that they're at a good buy-in point where if you bought in now, you could definitely see them double up to triple up in the future. They've had a pretty good run when they came out here around 2020. Going into 2021, they've dropped off with just like a lot of other companies have, and it's been a heavy trend. As they come into 2022, 2023, I would expect this company to rise up above that 13 and go through some resistance around 15 and continue to climb towards that $20 mark. Hopefully some of these stocks help put some information out there about what's going on in the market this week. Make sure you do your research and have a good Friday trading.